In the earliest surviving debate on linguistics, Plato has Hermogenes say, "Nothing has its name by nature, but only by usage and custom." Cratylus disagrees. There is a correctness of name existing by nature for everything. A name is not simply that which a number of people jointly agree to call a thing. Cratylus is a creationist, and suggests that a power greater than man assigned the first names to things. Today, those who see a correctness of names might attribute it instead to onomatopoeia, words such as crash and oink that sound like what they mean, or to sound symbolism, words such as sneer, cantankerous, and mellifluous that naturally call to mind the things they mean. Today, this debate has been resolved in favor of Hermogenes' conventional pairing. Early in this century, Ferdinand de Saussure, a founder of modern linguistics, called such pairing the arbitrary sign, and made it a cornerstone of the study of language. Onomatopoeia and sound symbolism certainly exist, but they are asterisks to the far more important principle of the arbitrary sign. Or else we would understand the words in every foreign language instinctively, and never need a dictionary for our own. Even the most obviously onomatopoeic words, those for animal sounds, are notoriously unpredictable, with pigs oinking boo-boo in Japan, and dogs barking gong-gong in Indonesia. Sound symbolism, for its part, was no friend of the American woman in the throes of labor who overheard what struck her as the most beautiful word in the English language and named her newborn daughter meconium, the medical term for fetal excrement. Though simple, the principle of the arbitrary sign is a powerful tool for getting thoughts from head to head. Children begin to learn words before their first birthday, and by their second they hoover them up at a rate of 1 every 2 hours. By the time they enter school, children command 13,000 words, and then the pace picks up, because new words rain down on them from both speech and print. A typical high school graduate knows about 60,000 words, a literate adult perhaps twice that number. People recognize words swiftly. The meaning of a spoken word is accessed by a listener's brain in about 1/5 of a second, before the speaker has finished pronouncing it. The meaning of a printed word is registered even more quickly, in about 1/8 of a second. People produce words almost as rapidly. It takes the brain about 1/4 of a second to find a word to name an object, and about another 1/4 of a second to program the mouth and tongue to pronounce it. The arbitrary sign works because a speaker and a listener can call on identical entries in their mental dictionaries. The speaker has a thought, makes a sound, and counts on the listener to hear the sound and recover that thought. To depict an entry in the mental dictionary, we need a way of showing the entry itself, as well as its sound and meaning. The entry for a word is simply its address in one's memory, like the location of the bold-faced entry for a word in a real dictionary. It's convenient to use an English letter sequence such as ROSE to stand for the entry, as long as we remember this is just a mnemonic tag that allows us to remember which word the entry corresponds to. Any symbol, such as 42759, would do just as well. To depict the word's sound, we can use a phonetic notation, such as rose. The meaning of a word is a link to an entry in that person's mental encyclopedia, which captures the person's concept of a rose. For convenience, we can symbolize it with the picture of a flower. So in a mental dictionary, we hear the sound rose and see the image of a rose. The grammatical category for the word rose is noun. And that brings us to the second trick behind the vast expressive power of language. People do not just blurt out isolated words, but rather combine them into phrases and sentences in which the meaning of the combination can be inferred from the meanings of the words.